I'm Annemarie'S, and I'm here for Primerica Financial Services. Basically, our company is here to help Main Street American families make and save money for retirement, help them retire with dignity, and then protect your income while you're still around. Living in Arizona, we've all seen on the news too many times that there's a lot of wrong way drivers lately, and it would be devastating and tragic for someone to pass away, but have their family feel the financial burden on top of the burden of losing a loved one. So we as a company, we try to help families, have things in place in case something like that was to happen.
Okay, tell us more about Primerica.
So, a little backstory. Before I was introduced to Primerica, I knew nothing of life insurance, knew nothing of saving money for retirement. Like a lot of families out there, we live paycheck to paycheck. One Thanksgiving Day, my husband's normally a mechanic for semi-trailers, but he also has his CDL. So he was asked to take a trailer up to Flagstaff to a store up there. On the way back, mind you, this was very late that evening after he had already worked. On the way back, he was bringing back the broken trailer, and a black bear had come down a hill, and because it was so dark, he couldn't see the bear coming, and driving the semi-trailer, he had no time to stop. So the bear ran into the semi-trailer, turned it on its side. So my husband calls, and he doesn't like to alarm me. And he tells me, I just want to let you know we'll be a little late. It was in a minor accident. And I thought to myself, okay, well, maybe, you got into a little fender bender, something, no big deal. A couple hours go by, and I'm like, what's taking you so long? He's like, well, I have to go to the hospital, we have to go do the test, because, they have to drug test you when you have a CDL to make sure that you have no drugs in your system, and that's what caused the accident, whatever. And I was like, okay, well, it's Thanksgiving Day, maybe there's not as many people. So I just kind of brushed it off. Now, mind you, now it's Thanksgiving Day, but it's afternoon, and he had been gone since the night before, and I'm like, look, something's going on and you're not telling me because it's after 12 o'clock. And he's like, Jason had to come get me, there was traffic, blah, blah, blah. My husband came home, and his boss had to go pick him up, obviously, because the trailer was on the side, trailer. His whole head was wrapped. He had some stitches over here, and then he showed me pictures of the trailer that was completely smashed. And I was like, now I'm angry, and I'm thinking, what part of this was a minor accident?
Those men.
Yeah. So I'm angry, and I thought to myself, this is Thanksgiving Day, and I could have been like a widow. You could have lost your life in this accident. Why would you tell me that this was minor? And trying to convey that to him. He's like, well, I just didn't want you to worry. He goes, really, I'm fine. He goes, my head just hurts, and I'm like, hey, you probably got a concussion. But, after that, I was like, wow, what would I have done had something happened to him? And then we were getting in the process of moving into another house. A friend of his was a realtor, and his wife actually works for Primerica. And she is now my coach, mentor. She's become a very, very, very good friend of mine. She introduced me to the company, and I started working with the company shortly after. And not only did they teach me some financial concepts, myself and my husband, But they got me a life insurance policy that, was affordable to both of us, at the time. And, they said if you ever want to increase the coverage, that you have the ability to do so. And I was like, well, that's awesome, because if it had been a year earlier and something happened with no coverage, he's the breadwinner. I mean, I would have been devastated. I would have had no way of paying for, funeral services. I would have lost the house that we were in. Probably would have had to move back in with my parents at that point in time. So, for me, that was like an eye-opener. My second eye-opener came, unfortunately, like, I want to say a year afterwards. I had recently obtained my life insurance license, so I was able to sell the product to families, and my father had passed away. So my father went into the hospital, was supposed to go in for a routine hernia surgery. He never made it to surgery. So what I learned from the studying I had to do, obviously take the test to be, licensed with the state, was that my mom had the wrong kind of insurance. So one of the concepts that we're taught is that certain insurance companies will sell you a policy that tells you you have life insurance plus a savings account. And that's what they had, or at least that's what they thought they had. Before the economy crashed in 2008, the house that I grew up in as a teenager, my parents decided to update their bathroom. So they pulled the money out of that savings portion, updated their bathroom, and mind you, it was beautiful. But in 2008, when the economy crashed, they lost their house. So now they're living in an apartment. They don't have what they paid for. And come to find out that savings was actually a loan that they needed to pay back. And because it's not paid back, well, that decreased the value of my dad's life insurance policy. So when my dad passed away, my mom was left with $3,000 to pay for everything. Well, it's not even enough for funeral expenses. So my mom ended up moving in with us for some time to get some of her affairs in order, pay some things down before she was able to move into her own place. And I think when I saw things like that happen, and then we know that the company that I work for doesn't do that. Like, I never wanted another family to ever feel the way I felt when my dad passed, because it was so devastating losing him so untimely. Never expected him to pass away, but on top of that burden, and then wanting to make sure my mom was okay, then, her barely having anything left from his policy, I think that it kind of it broke my heart for her. Like, I felt so bad. My dad thought that he had something in place for her, and it wasn't what he thought. And sitting down with families that have that same product, and when they say, but I have money in savings, I was told I have money in savings. Well, I sat down with a family that had that same type of policy, and they had it for over 3 years, but there was nothing in the savings, because that's something that the company doesn't tell you is typically it take after, it could be anywhere from 4 years plus before you can get any money in your savings. So, just learning all these different financial concepts and everything like that it made me fall in love with the company even more, and it made me want to go out there and help families even more to make sure that nobody ends up in financial disaster.
With some life insurance that's seeing a lot of people out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm actually interested in, well, it's kind of like a two-part thing, not really questions or anything, but I was actually involved with Primerica. I am still licensed in Illinois.
That's LaShonda,
Oh, you want to yeah, CPAs, they make a lot of money. But I was with Primerica, and I was licensed in Illinois. I pretty much got out of the business when I moved to Arizona. And I'd been in the business for about 3 years. I was like maybe 1 or 2 recruits from the RVP. And I would say I also had a situation. My father didn't have universal life insurance. We knew that out the gate. But my mother, I was able to write her policy with Primerica, and my mother passed in Arizona, and my family, where she's from, everything else, house and all that, is in Illinois. So Primerica actually helped me pay to transfer a body, which anybody who's not familiar with that is about $2,500, and depending on which funeral you're dealing with, you have 2 you have state laws you have to deal with, which state requires this, and so Illinois requires the body be in a certain container. Arizona has to hold the body for a certain period of time, and that costs you money. So it adds up really quickly. My mom's policy was Primerica paid for all of that. So it's, if you don't have life insurance, don't let your family have to sell dinners or t-shirts with your face on it.
Be outside by the highway holding the sign.
Yeah, just to pay, because my parents were cremated, and that was still, almost $6,000. And that's just cremation. And the state is only going to give you $255 to do it. So you got a long way to go if you have to come for that out of pocket.
And I ain't buying Ziplocs much to do anything. $255.
No.
You can't even afford to die.
Pretty much. Yeah. So, life insurance is very important.
Well, I hooked up with them too, because I need some insurance, and I got some for my grandkids too, because you said you need it. And also, I signed up with them to sell some insurance here.
TOD.
Build the awareness and stuff like that in those areas. So,
And I know right now, like with the coronavirus and everybody being quarantined, that's one of the things that we do is instead of sitting down with people in their homes, being face to face. A lot of people don't feel comfortable with that, so we do the Zoom meetings and do the presentation virtually.
I know Zoom is taking over right now.
Right?
Zoom is life, okay?
Yes, probably.
Exactly. We're able to actually sit down through the virtual, and we can go through, if somebody has a policy in place, we can go through and show them, what type of policy you have and help explain it a little better. Because I know sometimes, people have sat down and they don't even know what type of policy they have when they sit down with us. Oh, I have an insurance policy. Well, what kind do you have? And then when you sit down with them and then you point out to them all the exclusions that are inside the policy. Well, policy stating there's 25, 30 different ways that you can pass away. Well, how do you know you have your own policy?
and some people don't know about the 2-year clause. And I know for me, when I first found that out, when I got my license, I was like, what? Wait a minute. So if I get a policy today and I die in a year, my family is still screwed. Like, they gonna get a refund of what I paid. A lot of people don't know about the 2-year clause. That was a thing that shocked me. So for a license in Arizona, what are Arizona's laws in terms of being licensed?
It means that she was already licensed in Illinois. If she wanted to get licensed
here. I still have to go by Arizona.
If you're still licensed in the state of Illinois, you're still keeping up with your continuing education, things like that, then you just have to pay a fee to the state to have an active license in the state because you already have
Right.
an active license. So that
And you should have her test over or anything.
no,
like that?
since you already passed your test in the state of Illinois and you kept it current, then all you have to do is pay a fee. So,
You can be licensed in multiple states.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You sell insurance everywhere.
Yeah, I mean that's
Save families.
that's the beauty of the business is that once you get to a certain point in this business, which is basically where I'm looking to go, is to be the regional vice president and have my own office. I want to actually have multiple offices.
Yeah.
So I do look to train somebody to open up an office as well, but they don't have to remain in Merck's, right? If Miss Teresa decides, you know what, I want to move to Hawaii, and she's gotten her contract. She has
in Hawaii.
Yeah.
That living cost is high out there.
Yeah. Roasted pig right now.
Right?
With some pineapples,
That
coconut pork.
sounds like a plan to me.
Look. It would.
All right, guys. Is there anything else y'all want to discuss?
If anybody wants to learn a little bit more about our business, about Primerica, about what we do and how we help, you can definitely go to the Primerica website. It is www.primerica.com. My website of the company that they provide is www.primerica.com/GIL. And that's GIL, P as in Peter, IN.